KBLA, we keep us safe, we keep us provided for, we keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When it comes to being cut from a very, very original cloth, there are very few people on planet Earth who've done it better and clearer than O.G. Rick. I'm very grateful that OG has decided to spend this hour with us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. OG, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm here, my brother, and I appreciate being here with you. You know, I don't have a lot of friends, but I consider you to be one of my friends, and I appreciate you so much.
Mr. Rick is the genuine article. He's an example of how consciousness, cunning, and culture make for the perfect combination. From the clothes on his back, to the gait of his walk, to the cool in his talk, you'll know you're addressing an OG when you're in his presence. He serves as our very own host here at the OGs and does an immaculate job of both honoring guests and interweaving his own personal experiences to paint the truest picture of our traditions. Starts with fashion. Even hear the phrase, look good, feel good. It's not a matter of clothing that defines you. Anyone can don on expensive threads, but to be a real OG, it has to be in you, not on you. And Mr. Rick would know. He spent his formative years in a time when your garment meant everything. When I was coming up, he says, I was dressed to the nines. It didn't mean nothing. I'm not going to use the language. That was just an everyday thing. That's because it wasn't about the trend. It wasn't about using the mediums for honest expression. He believed in authenticity and believes in it to this day. OG, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, sir, and it's a pleasure to be here.
OG, listen, I want you to impart some wisdom to us from your experience. Not only in the city of Chicago and the country, but these are very, very difficult times for our country. Take your time and share with us your thoughts at this hour about where we are as a people.
As a people, I think it is time for us to gravitate toward unity. We have to start working with each other. Most people are complaining about what Trump is not going to do, what he's taking, the programs are disappearing, this, that, and the other. Hey, we control one of the strongest economies on this planet. So why are we looking to other people? Why don't we look to ourselves and use the resources that we have and become an independent people like everyone else? It is not making sense. So we have to create a roadmap for our young people, for our children, so that they can change the narrative. Because if they follow in the footprints that we're making right now, they're going to lose. It is very important for us, my brother, that we set the example in the correct manner, in the proper manner, so that they can navigate this society. This is a very, very tricky society. And if you haven't been here navigating it before, it will gobble you up.
OG, a lot of our young people, they can hear you. They can listen to you. And they respect and appreciate you. I think about ministers in our community. I think about politicians in our community. I think about, the people that we've turned to who've historically had voices. But there's a whole nother vernacular. There's a whole nother vibe. There's a whole nother rhythm to communicating with our young people today, and a lot of people who've given up. How do you make it work?
Well, the thing to do, my brother, today, I think like when you and I were coming up, it was hard for us to hear our parents in a certain light. So think the best thing that we can do is allow young people to communicate to us, and then we can respond with our experience and communicate with them so that they can understand what the two of us are saying. We do too much talking, and we need to do more listening, because these young people are very, very intelligent out there, and they have a lot to offer, but they don't feel like we're allowing them to express themselves in a way that's meaningful to them.
So listening is a big factor of your thinking on how to engage young people. Some, of course, older people might argue that they feel like at this stage of their lives they have a lot to impart, that they have a lot to say. You're saying some of that is a function of timing, but hearing what the streets are saying does matter to being able to understand each other. Is that what you're hearing, OG?
Let me make it real simple in a way that you and I can relate. You meet a young lady and you're having that conversation with that young lady because you really want to be involved with her. I think at that point, I think you're doing more listening than talking. The same way that relationship happens is the same way it has to happen with our children. We have to be attentive and listen so that we can give the proper response. If we're not listening, then we can't respond properly. I tell you, like my mother used to tell me, she said, hey,
I think I lost the OG's signal for just a moment. I'm sure I'll have it when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're going to get some real wisdom today from a brother who knows exactly what our people have been through, what we're all going through. Have a little bit of a technical problem, which we'll work out momentarily, but I am so honored and privileged that OG Rick, the original OG, is here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day.
KBLA Talk 1580, standing with you in perilous times. If you've been impacted by the federal government shutdown or the discontinuation of SNAP benefits, you can find a food bank near you that's offering free groceries by going to lafoodbank.org or call 211. Additionally, LA County offers free meals at certain parks. There are meals and snacks for kids and seniors. Visit parks.lacounty.gov to find out which centers are offering which programs and to register in advance. And in addition to offering 2 free meals per day for all students, the LA Unified School District provides weekend meal kits for its students by request. Meal kits can be picked up on Fridays at grab-and-go locations. Please visit lausd.org/Cafe LA. That's lausd.org/CAFELA. We keep us safe. We keep us provided for. We keep us connected. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind, knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome forward to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. OG Rick will be right back with us in just a moment, but I do want to pick up on the point that he raised about listening, because it's something that I've learned from Tavis Smiley. Charitable listening. when it comes to hearing out our young people. You find yourself in a barber shop. Sometimes some of us just want to talk. But if you listen, you can hear what some of the streets are saying, the wisdom imparted to us by our barbers, by older men who are sharing with us their experiences about what's taking place. And sometimes we can hear it better than we can see it. In fact, we might hear it first. And I don't know anyone who knows the streets better than OG Rick. Has a massive following on his radio show called The OGs. You can find him on social media, on Facebook, one of the best produced shows with their ears to the streets that I've ever seen on social media. And I'm really so grateful to God for the platform, because so many voices that have been stilled over time now have access to the airwaves, and they put real time in the production of those voices and of those shows. And so here in the Midwest and throughout the country, increasingly the voice of OG Rick does matter. Tens of thousands of followers and thousands of shares of the programs that he advances on behalf of brothers and sisters who've been incarcerated, who've been in the joint and had these very difficult challenges in their life. And the sense of encouragement that comes from the OG actually matters. I've rarely seen a brother walk into a room and command as much respect wherever he goes as the OG. So I invited him to be on our program today. We have a small technical difficulty at this moment, but we will work it out momentarily. I do want to go back to this concept, though, of listening, because that's been my experience in the high schools that I've been traveling through lately, in the listening tours that I have been engaged in lately. People have a lot to say. And certainly African Americans in this country, hundreds of thousands of them have been laid off. The diversity, equity, and inclusion programs that have historically come from our fight within the law to make sure that as the country grows, we grow with the country. The OG says that there's an opportunity that's being presented to us at this hour to turn to our communities and do more in our communities, and we can make things happen in our communities without the government. And I certainly respect that. I also know, and I would balance the conversation with, when we need health care, when we need surgery, we need doctors, and that requires some help from the government to make sure that these colleges are letting our most qualified students in so that they can train themselves and work their way back to our communities for those very purposes. And so today I wanted to have this conversation with OG Rick because he's very influential in my life. He's shared some of the similar experiences in my life that I've observed and understand about his life, and yet the amazing grace that he shows, the men that he works with, and the respect that he commands matters to the people and to the streets. Yes, in the upper echelons of the suites, he's also in the streets, and striking that balance does matter in our ongoing efforts to reach out to people who have been left behind. When I think about the fact that the President of the United States is one of the most unpopular people in the history of American politics at this hour, and yet the Democratic Party itself is equally as unpopular. OG Rick tells us that we need to be listening. OG, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I'm glad you're back.
Welcome back. Thank you.
OG, listen, you were talking about listening just before we had our technical difficulty. Can you pick back up on why listening is so important to these young people?
The last thing I said was, my mother used to tell me, I should take some of the cotton out of my mouth, out of my ears, and put it in my mouth. Meaning, I need to do more listening than talking. And we as elders need to listen more to our young people, because they have something that they're trying to express. They have visions, but They're trying to communicate it so that we can expound on it and try to give them a roadmap to how to properly express it in life. But we're too busy trying to instruct them about our lives and how we did it. And we're in a different world now. I can remember my mother talking to me and explaining to me the things that I should be listening to. And my mind would be saying, well, you know, you're old, we don't do that no more, which was very incorrect. The thing was, I just couldn't understand her from her perspective because I don't think we were listening to each other. Now, the crazy part about that, my brother, is here it is 50 years later, and everything that I do in life, I pull reference from the things that my mother was trying to communicate to me back then. And I have a clear drawing now because I can understand her now, and she's gone, but I can understand her now, but I couldn't understand her then because I didn't have the experience in life, and I wasn't seeing things the way that she saw them, and she wasn't seeing them the way that I saw them. But, you know, if we listen to each other, I think we can try to understand what both of us are seeing in order to make a happy medium to be successful in the journey.
You know, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be vulnerable in this moment. And I'm going to be vulnerable because when I think about what you said, that some of the things our parents or even our mothers, in the case of the analogy that you gave, it hits us when they're gone. Maybe it's the tone, maybe it's the way it's expressed, maybe the way it's delivered. You know, I feel like sometimes when I'm just going to be vulnerable, when my mama talks to me and I'm 60 years old, you know, I think that the tone is a factor in whether or not I can receive it. It don't mean that it's not the truth. It's just that I don't want to hear it from her that way. Am I speaking truth right there? Is that what you're telling us?
You are. You're very much. It's uncomfortable because we're miscommunicating. And we have to intentively listen so that we can find a medium of communication. We're talking at each other, you know, and we need to talk to each other and have a thought process involved in the engagement. And we do a lot of that. I think we all experience that, you know, and we just need to be mindful and be more careful because time is precious. You just said something that I think we all need to chew on, and that is that we miss them when they're gone. You know, we need to take advantage and find the tools that we need to communicate with each other while we're here. You know, we can run out of a lot of things, my brother, but the one thing you don't want to try running out of, and that's time. So we need to use the time as much as, or we need to give it the value because it's the most precious thing that we have. And we need to find ways with each other, parents and siblings, children. We need to find that happy medium so that we can use the time wisely. Because like you said, when they're gone, you know, I miss my mother so much, but I didn't have the consciousness to understand that the reality of her being gone one day would really be a present factor, you know, and we act like we got all the time in the world, but time is limited. And I hope that what we're saying here today reminds people that it is the one thing that you don't want to run out of.
I appreciate that, OG. You know, I often say that we are the products from our birth to the present. We are here over time, but in the moment, we're in time. And
yes,
sometimes we don't understand each other in the moment that we are in time. And that miscommunication is a factor. Now, some might see this as just pure wisdom coming from the OG. But what I'm trying to tell you is when I look politically at the number of people who are not voting, who are not participating, who are discouraged, who seemingly are without hope, it's not just the policy prescriptions that we echo off the top of our mouths that have been written about ad nauseum by scholars. It is in real time listening to what people are saying in the moment, in the present, about their anxieties, about their fears, about their hopes. And if you can hear them, maybe the right words will come out of your mouth that motivates them to a higher calling. Does that make sense, OG?
It makes all the sense in the world. You know, you participate in a world that most people don't participate, nor do they understand. So the conversation that you and I are having is so vital because, see, we depend on you to go there and come back and communicate it to us. Communication is an art, and you're very good at it. And we look to you to digest that situation there, bring it to us, and regurgitate it in a way that we get it. And that's a part of listening on both parts, because you're like a school teacher. You go to Washington, you come back, we're the students, we're listening in hopes that we can digest what you're saying so that we can understand how the game is being played. Because the game is tricky.
You know, OG, of course, we're live in Los Angeles, and based upon the way our technology is set up, I'd like to be able to see you, but I gotta kind of hear you in order to take advantage of these times and these breaks. But let me just share this or ask this question. When I think about the sounds that came from East LA, the sounds that came from Compton, the sounds of the streets that our brothers have echoed not only through rap, but through the journeys of their lives, their incarceration experiences, their education, the friends that they buried, the drugs that they've seen, the reality that they've lived, and many of them never having lived outside of the neighborhood, and their lack of trust of anything other than the streets. How do people, including myself, who don't know the streets, earn the trust of the streets to be able to move all of us together somewhere forward?
So me being one of those people that you just described, I would have to communicate with you in order to be able to make that connection. You're sitting talking to me and just trying to have a conversation. That does not work with them. All the things that you've just said, the music, the everything that they involve in, the streets, the et cetera, you know, that is their form of expression. That is their form of communication, you know, and they're saying to the world, hey, you know, you need to hear me. You don't hear me, but I'm trying my best to express to you what my mindset and my reality is. And you're responding in a way through your own eyes. And now you're treating me as if I'm a blind man because I don't have the experience of what's coming through your eyes. I only have the experience what's coming through my eyes. And I'm trying to express that to you. And how do we find a happy medium to do that? Sometimes you got to experience the people's world. I'm out here every day, sir. You know, I don't participate in the streets anymore, but I'm in the streets every day. So I'm listening to the people. I'm feeling the people. I'm feeling the love that they give me. That is very important, sir. That is how you communicate with people. We all have children. You know, when When your child hurts herself or himself and they come to you, pay attention to your concern about trying to figure out what happened, baby. You know, where's it hurt at? You understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm reading you. I'm feeling you.
Yeah, this is the same thing that grown people are saying and young people are saying. They're just expressing it in another way, and they're expecting us to respond the same way, and we're not. So there's your miscommunication.
I'm totally feeling that. You know, I want to. I know we got about a minute before we come forward, so maybe I should just phrase this question. Of course, we'll be coming back with our 2 more segments. OG, I want to say that one of the when we think about this communication with the streets, it's like in terms of the class and caste system of our nation, folks who are not from the streets are writing all of the laws, and they look at the streets in a condescending way, and they end up, you know, reacting to the culture and the reality of the streets by condemning and incarcerating or locking up or passing laws for the streets, even though they're not from the streets. And I'm wondering, OG, and maybe we'll deal with this when we come forward after the break, what would happen if the shoes were on the other feet and the laws actually came from the streets, and they were looking at all of those of us who've never lived in the streets, and they were passing the kind of judgment on us that has been passed on them? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than the original OG Rick.
The biggest names, the best conversations. You're riding with Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Trump Presidential Library Project is facing a legal setback after a judge temporarily blocked the transfer of Miami-Dade College land designated for its construction.
That land belongs to our children unborn.
Black historian Marvin Dunn argues the college violated Florida's Sunshine Law. Dunn has 10 days to post a $150,000 bond for the injunction to take effect, while Miami-Dade College has already filed an appeal. A judge has denied the Missouri NAACP's request for a restraining order against the state's new congressional map. The court says Republican Governor Mike Kehoe's motion to dismiss the case is still under review. The NAACP filed the suit in September, accusing Kehoe of illegally calling a special session to redraw the map. And billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is donating $80 million to Howard University. The HBCU says $63 million will go to the school and $17 million to its College of Medicine. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have a quick reality check after losing at home Monday night to Miami by 1 point. Tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, the Clippers face the defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. The 7-0 Thunder are the last remaining undefeated team in the NBA this season. This will be a very good time for the Clippers to show some mental toughness and prove to folks that they can be a playoff team. 7 p.m. tip-off. The Lakers are off tonight. They're at home Wednesday night against San Antonio. The Chargers thought they would have the best 2 offensive tackles in the NFL this season to help block for quarterback Justin Herbert. Rashawn Slater at right tackle and Joe Alt on the right side. Slater suffered a knee injury in training camp and was lost for the season. Alt is now out for the rest of the season after suffering an ankle injury Sunday at Tennessee. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
And you're not supposed to be in government. Very difficult.
There's a lot of noise out there, so let's keep it simple for a moment. Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election by packing districts with Republicans to guarantee they win more seats. You follow me? If they succeed, Republicans will keep control of the entire government in 2026 and continue enabling Trump's runaway attacks on our rights. You still with me? California is the only state big enough and bold enough to stop him. If we vote yes and pass Prop 50, we can temporarily change California's congressional maps and fight back against the election rigging happening in Texas. Make sense? My mother told me that if a bully hits you, you hit him back. We can hit back by voting yes on Prop 50. The election is November 4th, and you can vote early now. The stakes are too high to sit this out. Stand up to the bully. Choose to fight back by voting yes on Prop 50 on or before November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50. The Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50 and Fund for Policy Reform.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that deeply impacts Black families. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and the risk is twice as high compared to white adults. But AD isn't just forgetting a name or losing track of time. Signs of early AD could be repeating questions, missing appointments, or struggling with bills and daily tasks. These things aren't a normal part of aging. Here's the good news. Treatments are available that may help if AD is diagnosed early. If you notice changes in memory or daily routines, whether in yourself or a loved one, don't wait. Early diagnosis and intervention are key to managing AD effectively. To learn more about AD and a potential treatment option, visit treatalsearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more about the signs and symptoms and a potential treatment option. This message is brought to you by AZI.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Tenacious Tuesdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and my very special guest is my very good friend, OG Rick. Mr. Rick is the genuine article, the real deal, the bottom line of authenticity. He's an example of how consciousness, cunning, and culture make for the perfect combination. From the clothes on his back to the gait of his walk to the cool of his talk, you'll know you're dressing an OG in his presence. He serves as our very own host here at the OGs and does an immaculate job of both honoring guests and interweaving his own personal experiences to paint the truest picture of our traditions. OG Rick, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Yes, sir, and I'm here.
OG, let me ask you a question. I want to pick back up before the break on this question that I struggle with in my own faith. You know, I've been taught to, as best I possibly can, to love my neighbor as myself, to love my enemy. Dr. King didn't believe in enemies. He called them frenemies. Any enemy was just a matter of time before they become your friend if you work with them. So he believed in frenemies. And I'm just wondering if the power and the wealth equation in our communities was on the other side of town, meaning the streets, meaning that the rest of the world, let's just say downtown Los Angeles, you know, looks one way at Beverly Hills, or downtown Chicago, where the power and the resources are, looks another way at the west side of Chicago and the south side of Chicago. But if the shoes were reversed, if I'm loving my neighbors and myself, I think about both sides as best I possibly can. If the shoes were reversed and the resources were here, the schools were here, the healthcare was here, the housing was here, the guns weren't here, would things be different, OG?
You know, brother, that's a very in-depth question. And I'm going to take a moment here. I think it would be different because I can remember a time that you just described that was a reality in my life as a young man. There were no lot of guns. There were no lot of drugs. There was no lot of money. And we did have to look up the hill in order to see those that were privileged to have monies and a better way of life, great homes, et cetera, et cetera. I can remember my grandmother was a house cleaner, and she would take me to work with her just to experience what the other side was like. You know, I had a chance to observe them in a way, and I didn't walk away with hatred or envy because they had what they had. I walked away with appreciation because they allowed me the exposure to see what it is that I should be striving for. And it changed my life. The other part of what I'm saying is I love the reality. So, you know, you've had the opportunity, and that's what I'm going to call it, to be in a situation to whereas it was opposite of what you had lived. Now, when you get into that situation and you begin to experience the people that you are forced to be around or among, then you begin to see things in a different light. You begin to understand the conversation of the people that you're not accustomed to fraternizing with. And you begin to understand that, hey, most of these are very intelligent people. They just, I've been privileged to what I've been privileged to. But it allows you to gain an understanding that the other people on the other side don't have. And my point is that is why it is so very important that you return back to office, because now you understand something that they don't understand. You know what you're fighting for the people. They don't. This is all politically or a political idea. We're not political ideas. We're human beings. We're real people. We make mistakes, just like other people make mistakes. So we have real concerns here about our children. You know, we're just trying to do better. Now, we've been trapped in a situation that has escalated, and they've taken our children, our younger people, and they've misguided them through media, through just culture in itself, because they keep exploiting, the negative sides of life. But in the hearts of our young people, they really mean well, and they really want to do well. I can speak from that experience because I can remember watching Humphrey Bogart and James Cagney and all these other people back in the 60s that was on the television on a regular basis. And my desire was to be like them. I wanted to be a gangster like Humphrey Bogart. I wanted to be a gangster like James Cagney. I wanted to be like these guys because they were fearless. And in my environment, I knew I needed some of that to protect myself from society. I wanted to fight back, you know, but if we would really look at that today and see what they're introducing our young people to, we could understand why they're acting out the way they are, because they've been programmed to do so, because we haven't offered them a better way of life. And we need to do that. That's why we need people like you that understand what is going on out here, and you can relate to it, and you can take that concern to DC, and you can fight for what these people are really asking for, because you felt their pain. You've lived amongst them. You get it. You've talked to them. You know, who would think that you and I would be good friends? But it's true. You know, I've made my mistakes. I've been to prison. I've been a drug addict. I've been all of that was forced on me within my part of society. But by the grace of God, he brought me through it and brought me on the other side of it. And now I'm a better person. I'm a person that's trying to make the world a better place. And I can communicate with people like you and express myself, and I can understand your expression. And in that's what it's going to take in order to communicate with these young people out here, so that they can be heard and that they can hear us and they can understand how to navigate this mess of a situation that we're in, because we didn't create it. Someone else did.
OG, let me tell you, when I got out of prison, the first thing my mother asked me was, had I learned anything? And I said, Mama, prison was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Hello?
I said, prison was the best thing that ever happened to me. I said, I can see things differently now, Mama. And I can't put this wine back in the old skin. I can't unsee what I saw. I can't unsee the new friends that I have, the new relationships. And then coming out of prison, people that I thought would be like my best friends, they're like the most judgmental people. They look down on you. And brothers and sisters who've been through the same situation, they embrace you. It's different. And I can't explain other than using the analogy that when a pastor baptizes somebody and he puts you in the water, or she puts you in the water, you're supposed to be cleansed and you're supposed to come out feeling some kind of way. Such was the River Jordan. But life has its experiences too, that are the kind of baptism where you don't even want to be the person that you used to be. And I had a great life, as you acknowledged, in the middle class. But when I saw other brothers and sisters who were struggling, I said to myself, no, we can do better. And I'm not looking down on nobody. And what can we do to be helpful? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More OG Rick on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We're keeping it real today. More when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
First, they tried to erase our history.
Pentagon removed training material about the Tuskegee Airmen. Arlington National Cemetery removing histories that highlighted Black veterans from its website.
Then they tried to erase our jobs.
Black Americans will disproportionately bear the brunt.
Now they think they can erase our votes.
Steal 5 congressional seats, decimating Black and brown representation.
Enough is enough. I matter, my rights matter, and our future matters. That's why I'm voting yes on Prop 50. Prop 50 lets us temporarily redraw California congressional maps to counter the election rigging Trump is trying to pull off in Texas and other states. Californians across the state are stepping up and using the power of their vote to stop the madness. So vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th, because we can't let them erase our history or our future. This ad is paid for by the NAACP and not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Today's the day, LA County. It's Election Day, and your voice matters. Visit any vote center today and cast your ballot until 8 p.m. You can vote in person, drop off your ballot, or register and vote on the same day. Don't wait. Make your voice heard in the statewide special election. Go to lavote.gov for your nearest vote center or official ballot drop box. That's lavote.gov. Your trusted source for voting in LA County.
There's a lot of noise out there, so let's keep it simple for a moment. Donald Trump is trying to rig the next election by packing districts with Republicans to guarantee they win more seats. You follow me? If they succeed, Republicans will keep control of the entire government in 2026 and continue enabling Trump's runaway attacks on our rights. You still with me? California is the only state big enough and bold enough to stop him. If we vote yes and pass Prop 50, we can temporarily change California's congressional maps and fight back against the election rigging happening in Texas. Make sense? My mother told me that if a bully hits you, you hit him back. We can hit back by voting yes on Prop 50. The election is November 4th, and you can vote early now. The stakes are too high to sit this out. Stand up to the bully. Choose to fight back by voting yes on Prop 50 on or before November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50. The Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50 and Fund for Policy Reform.
Open enrollment is your opportunity to choose a plan that connects you to Providence's comprehensive healthcare network. Choose a plan that includes Providence and gain access to a dedicated team of highly trained primary care physicians and specialists. From nationally recognized doctors and hospitals, Providence ensures quality care is always within reach. When you choose Providence, you choose after-hours care through our nurse advice line, urgent care, or virtual express care. You choose 24/7 access through the Providence mobile app to message providers, request prescription refills, schedule appointments, check lab results, and more. This open enrollment, prioritize your well-being with the peace of mind that comes from choosing a provider that values excellence and compassionate care. Don't just choose a plan. Choose a plan dedicated to health equity and community engagement. Choose a plan that believes health is a human right. Choose a plan that delivers exceptional care and cares about your community. Choose a plan that offers Providence. Visit chooseprovidence.org to learn more.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Established in 2020 during a time of deep racial unrest across our state and country, the Black Freedom Fund was created to make sure that leaders and organizations working to support Black communities and build power have the resources they need to stay in the fight for the long haul. We believe that those closest to the issues impacting our communities know best how to solve them. That's why in just the last 5 years, we've granted more than $45 million to over 200 grassroots organizations across California. That is the largest collective investment in Black organizing in history, and we're just getting started. We are clear-eyed and committed, more now than ever, to our people, our power, and our possibility. Join us in creating a future where Black people harness their full power to shape their lives and realize a just world for all. Learn more at fundblackfreedom.org. That's fundblackfreedom.org. The Black Freedom Fund is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Tenacious Tuesdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. In the next hour, attorney Barbara Arnwine and John Diggles. John Diggles is a veteran of healthcare space. Diggles focuses on targeting issues of health equity and education and how the digital health can be used to bridge many gaps. The healthcare staffing crisis is also a key reason. He said he felt the need to create an agency in this space. More on John Diggles's introduction at the top of the hour. But in this hour, our very special guest has been none other than the original OG Rick. OG, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
My pleasure, sir.
OG, I try to leave the last 3 minutes of our show for our guests to offer a word of hope. And I certainly like you to do one once we get to that point. I certainly will let you know. But I did want to make this point in terms of vision and insight from the incarceration experience. I was listening to the debate the other day over SNAP benefits. 42 million Americans need the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. 42 million Americans on the verge of hunger without that program. But there are not 42 million unemployed people in the United States. 44 million people need the Affordable Care Act. Why do they need the Affordable Care Act? Because care is unaffordable. The Affordable Care Act, better known as Obamacare. 44 million people need that, and 42 million people with overlap need SNAP. There are not 44 million or 42 million unemployed people in this country. So these are working men and women. And who are they? They're working one job, two jobs, three jobs, and they still can't feed their families. They still need health care at the end of their third job. Hence the Affordable Care Act. Now, when I peel back those numbers based on my experience, I know exactly who a large number of those people are. They're some of the 70 million people who've been through this system and can't get a second chance. They can't get any hope. They get Googled. They get slashed every single day when they apply for a job. And if 300,000 government workers who are very qualified people have just lost their jobs as a result of cuts in this administration, mostly African-American women, those jobs aren't filled by the 42 million people who need SNAP or 44 million people who need health care. Those are America's men and women who've been abandoned and have been through the system. Man, I had to see that system myself, OG, in order to arrive at those numbers to realize what's behind the 42 million SNAP beneficiaries. What's behind the 44 million people who need affordable care, no health care at the end of a hard day's work. That's our reality, isn't it, OG?
It is. And I'm going to piggyback on what you just said, brother. You know, we seem to think that we're in control. We lose the thought and the reality that the Creator is in control, God, if you will. So when He takes people like you and I and gives us certain experiences, we seem to forget that that is part of the journey in our building process in order to make us who God chooses to make us, to be able to serve Him in a way that we could not have done without those experiences. We not understand that as if we had something to do with it. When God said, let us make a man, did He explain to us how He was going to do it? I don't recall that. He does it as He chooses to do it. And the biggest part of how we have to do it, being a part of the process, is through our experience. You know, you don't build a sword without sticking it in fire. You know, you have to really treat it a certain way in order for it to be as strong as you want it to be, in order to take the pressure that you're going to put on it to make it a divine piece of what it is. And we seem to think that we're just willy-nilly here and that we're not going through a journey that has a divine ending. We need to rethink that, my brother. And that's why it's very important that you had to experience what you had to experience so that you can come back and do what the Creator has designed for you to do for the people.
OG, we have about a minute and 45 seconds. Your word of hope for the nation today.
My word of hope is that good people will understand that good people win. We go through our trials and our tribulations, but don't give up your goodness. Don't give up striving to be a good human being, because that's going to win in the end. All of this other rigmarole and all of this stuff that you see going on, that's not going to win. It's going to have its moment. We've all been taught that. You came up in the church. You understand the message. We've all been taught that evil would have its day, but don't sell your soul for it. You're looking at Hollywood. You're looking at what they're doing to our young people. You're looking at what they're doing to people and how they're corrupting them and turning them into these demonic mindsets. All of that's in their moment. They were promised to have that moment, but we cannot afford to lose the promise that we was given, and that good people will come to a winning process. And we have to hold on to that and know that, it is God in the end that will win, my friend, because it is God that has designed it all. So we have to stay conscious of that. Be conscious that we strive to be good human beings. I don't care what your color is. I don't prescribe to all of that. I'm a this and I'm a that. Bottom line is you're a good human being or you're not. That is the bottom line. If you strive to be a good human being, then there are many, many blessings waiting for you. It is that simple, sir. And I appreciate you for being a good human being, and I appreciate you for trying to fight for the people, and they need to put you back in office with your experience so that you can fight for the people because you understand the people.
This is Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to OG Rick, the one and only on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580 on Tenacious Tuesdays when we come forward. Thank you, OG.
Thank you, sir.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Trump Presidential Library project is facing a legal setback after a judge temporarily blocked the transfer of Miami-Dade College land designated for its construction.
That land belongs to our children unborn.
Black historian Marvin Dunn argues the college violated Florida's Sunshine Law. Dunn has 10 days to post a $150,000 bond for the injunction to take effect, while Miami-Dade College has already filed an appeal. A judge has denied the Missouri NAACP's request for a restraining order against the state's new congressional map. The court says Republican Governor Mike Kehoe's motion to dismiss the case is still under review. The NAACP filed the suit in September, accusing Kehoe of illegally calling a special session to redraw the map. And billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott is donating $80 million to Howard University. The HBCU says $63 million will go to the school and $17 million to its College of Medicine. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers have a quick reality check after losing at home Monday night to Miami by 1 point. Tonight at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood, the Clippers face the defending NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder. The 7-0 Thunder are the last remaining undefeated team in the NBA this season. This will be a very good time for the Clippers to show some mental toughness and prove to folks that they can be a playoff team. 7 p.m. tip-off. The Lakers are off tonight. They're at home Wednesday night against San Antonio. The Chargers thought they would have the best 2 offensive tackles in the NFL this season to help block for quarterback Justin Herbert. Rashawn Slater at right tackle and Joe Alt on the right side. Slater suffered a knee injury in training camp and was lost for the season. Alt is now out for the rest of the season after suffering an ankle injury Sunday at Tennessee. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KB.
4120 11th Avenue. Join us for a day of health, healing, and community connection. There will be health screenings, immunizations, wellness information, a Ketz Charter School recruitment triumphant fair, plus music and healthy snacks. And it's all free at the KBLA Talk 1580 Community Health and Wellness Fair, Saturday, November 8th, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Audubon Middle School in Lamert Park, 4120 11th Avenue. Come out and bring the entire family. And